What is going on, everyone? Steve-O Supremo here, and I am just another game collector. In today's video, we're talking about the taboo topic of graded video games. Yes, I know it can be a touchy subject within the community here. Some people look down upon it, some people love it, but we're going to talk about it. So let's dive into it. First and foremost, we're going to talk about like how I found out about grading in general. And that, of course, starts with cards. I didn't know a lot about grading. I'm not a big card collector right now. I try to collect Machamp things very casually because he's my favorite Pokemon. So if I see a Machamp card at a show off to the side that I don't have in a collection, I'll snatch it because it'd be cool to have every Machamp card. But other than that, this is the only PSA item that I got or graded card. I'm not too big into it. But about 7 or 8 years ago, I saw this sitting on a table at a show for about $5 and snatched it and asked the guy what this whole like having it in a case and everything is about. And then he explained it to me, the whole process behind wanting to get cards graded. People send them off so they can try to get a high grade on the card, and that can increase its value for them to resell. It's like, okay, that's pretty interesting. I think when it comes to personally collecting something like a card, if you're going to keep it, I guess there's really no reason to get it graded. But I can get the point behind people wanting to sell something and trying to get that high grade on it. It makes sense. So that's when I kind of discovered about this whole grading scene. But video game stuff wasn't around at that time for getting graded. Then all of a sudden, around that same time, apparently in the backgrounds, there was this company, Wata, that started grading video games. I didn't know anything about it, but it's something that started to kind of pick up pace around the COVID times, and then people were sending in games to get graded, like very brand new games that just came out, like on the Switch, they would send to get graded because the market was so hot on it. I guess they were trying to flip them for money. And making lots of money that way. People were making a good amount of money that way from the research that I saw of just grading these games and then flipping them on the marketplaces. And it was something within the community, I remember at that time, that we just all thought was so stupid. Like, why are you sending your games off to get graded? Because it seemed like this arbitrary thing just to increase the value on it. To make money on it. It's like, why would you do that? We're just here to collect these items, not put them behind these plastic encasings so you can never play it again. But I think the mood on that has kind of changed now, and I'm curious how it kind of was within the card community when that first started coming around. I wonder if they were the same way. Like, why would you get this card graded? You're supposed to be playing with this Machamp EX in the game. Like, it's not supposed to be sitting on a shelf or being used as a currency. But, I mean, it's totally different now. There are some people in the card scene who still look down upon it. They're all about rare or just doing raw cards. But graded cards are a huge thing. It's a huge market. It's like its own, this is like its own money out there, like a dollar bill right now. And it's just crazy how even these days, I think this PSA 9 is like a $30 card now compared to when I bought it for $5. I know Pokemon's really hot right now, so that could be not a normal number. But if this was a PSA 10, this would be over a $100 card. So it's just crazy how the grade on something can just really like multiply the value of an item. So then the graded video game scene, that really took off, like I said, around that COVID time. Things were going crazy, then the market cooled off. It took a big dip in 2023, but now it's back on the rise again. People are starting to pick up graded video games again. They're kind of on that slow uphill trend. And maybe it's going to get to a point where it does kind of smooth out. But why do I think it's kind of doing that now? Well, I think it's because it's something that's been around for a few years now. So we're getting used to seeing it done. Other grading companies like CGC have come on the market offering to grade stuff at a cheaper rate and value to get things graded. And I don't think it's looked down upon as much these days because just like a card that's going to sit on a shelf in a case now and never get played again, a sealed game, most of the time people have sealed games that they collect for. It stays sealed and doesn't get played anyways. It's gonna sit on the shelf. Even me as a collector who has a lot of open games, 99% of them sit on the shelf because I can't play them all at once. So we kind of got used to the fact that, okay, as collectors, some things still just sit on a shelf. And getting things graded, it is people, there's a like a market out there who want to try to get the best and the rarest of the rare and the best condition of the best condition items. And that's where this graded market scene kind of comes into play. I think right now there's only certain games that only have such a high grade, especially back in the old box Nintendo, Super Nintendo stuff, that if there's something that hits the scene that has like a slightly better grade on it, just the market goes crazy for it. And that's what it is, just like in like the card community. And I just see it as something getting more accepted within the future. It's something that's kind of part of the hobby now, whether people think it's stupid or not. But I can understand why people get it done. They just like keeping these items preserved, and it is more of an investment. It's not more of a collecting thing. I see it's kind of like cards now. Graded video games would be traded like a currency. It's like another form of money. You're just passing back and forth to each other. Now, why did I get something graded? Well, it's pretty simple. I got these games out of a collection that I bought from my buddy Garrett. We didn't know each other at the time, but now we're good friends from me just buying all his stuff from him. He had this Persona 4 Gold, and this is the limited edition out of 10,000 copy. Unfortunately, he didn't have the other stuff to it. He has a soundtrack and everything, but he threw away the boxes. So that premium edition, I would have loved to have kept it all together, but unfortunately, he threw it all away. But this was the game from that. And he had Pokemon Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun that were sealed in it. He had a bunch of sealed games that I still have sitting in the collection. But I was like, you know what? I had these in my collection opened already. So I don't really care to have the sealed copies. And last year, I finally sent them all three off to get graded. It was only like 30 bucks each. I think it was like 90 something bucks total to get them graded. And I was like, you know what? I will use these. Unlike my collection, I will use these as an investment standpoint because I don't use my collection as an investment. I don't see it as an investment. I know it's worth money, but I'm never going to get rid of it. So to me, it doesn't matter. When I'm dead and my wife or my kids want to sell it, then cool. It's up to them. Do what they want to do with it. But to me, it's just my collection that's just going to be here forever. I know some people probably think that's stupid, but hey, that's just my thoughts on it. But these items I was going to purely use as an investment since I already owed them or already owned them open. It's like, you know what? Let's roll the dice, take a gamble on it, and see what happens. So I got all of those games graded. They all came back with the same grade of the 9.8 A+. And I went ahead and I've already sold the Pokemon Ultra Sun. I sold it for $150, which made me some money and paid for the grading. So I was like, all right, well, cool. Then I'll just hold on to these two games and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens 20 years from now. What'll happen with these graded games? Maybe nothing. Maybe they won't be worth the plastic that they're being sealed in. But I thought it would be an interesting project just to try to find out and do. Will I send any more? Probably not. These are probably going to be the only ones I ever send. And I do have plenty more sealed games in my collection, but I just don't plan on sending them out anywhere. I just keep them the way they are because, again, I don't want to see them. They're the only copies of the games that I have, so I don't really see them as an investment. I see them as copies of games in my collection. These were just extras, so I was like, let's take the chance on it. So that's kind of why I did it. I know people probably think it's stupid or why would you do it? Like I said, all the things people said back in the day, but I mean, I think it's a market that's just going to get more and more commonplace. People are probably going to be kicking themselves thinking, why didn't I get this certain item graded? Because it could be worth so much money later on down the road. But it's just a little experiment. So if this channel's still around 10 years from now, it'll be a cool follow-up to see like what these games are doing on the market. I know The Persona 4 Golden one, since there's only 10,000 of them, how in the world would you judge that? I have no idea. The Pokemon Ultra Moon here was part of the dual pack. That's a not for resale thing. So I don't know. Pokemon's a big thing, will probably always be a big thing. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with a game like this later on down the road with the grades it has. So I'm not too I'm not mad at people who collect graded games. I don't look down upon it at all. Every collector has their thing. Some people just like collecting sealed stuff. I can understand people being angry of it, like kind of artificially probably inflating prices on things, or they're not understanding why people would want to pay so much money for a graded item. But I look at it as the same way as cards. It's like the same type of reason. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. But what do you guys think of graded video games? Is it the dumbest thing ever? Do you lose respect for any collector who actually has some in their collection like me? Or you're like, you know what? It's worth a shot. We'll see what happens down the road and see what the market does. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will catch you in the next one.